What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Murph's Boston Sports Talk. I am your host, James Murphy, aka Murph, and welcome to episode number 146 of Murph's Boston Sports Talk. So happy you could join us today. We are going to be talking nothing but Celtics today, and I think that is deservingly deserved for the Boston Celtics, the green and white, and it is absolutely a special time here in the New England area if you're a Celtics fan, because the team is currently up 2-1 on the Golden State Warriors in their best of 7 NBA Finals series. Wow. Honestly, guys, as you know from last episode, number 145, I initially picked the Warriors in 5 to win. I just thought they were the better team all around, all things considered. It's just not the case anymore. And just to quickly recap, that was my take going into the series before Friday's episode. Then I reacted to the Celtics' victory in Game 1. And now we have a 2-1 series after the Warriors won Game 2 in Golden State, or I should say in San Francisco. And the Celtics won Game 3 in Boston on Wednesday, with Game 4 of the NBA Finals tonight. Yes, sir, indeed. Tonight. Tip-off around 9 p.m. That's, my God. I mean, I get it. West Coast team and the Warriors, fans get home 6 o'clock. Okay, I get it. It makes way more logical sense than having the Heat and the Celtics tip-off at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, too. But whatever, I digress. That story is for another playoff round, if you know what I mean, because we're on to bigger and better things here. Yes, the Celtics. What a crazy story they are right now. What a crazy ride right now that they're on. It's good to be a Celtics fan right now. It feels really, really good to be a Celtics fan right now. Game 3 was a little scary at first. Celtics were up for a bit. They were up big. I think the most was 18 at one point. Warriors go on their historic third quarter run. They closed the gap. They took the lead, but then the Celtics were able to finish, I think, that quarter up by 2 or 3 or something like that. And then they went on a 23-11 run in the fourth quarter to end up winning Game 3, 116-100, again, over the Golden State Warriors. A couple notables from both sides. We'll start with the Celtics. Tatum, 26 points, 9 assists, 6 rebounds in 41 minutes. Jaylen Brown, 27 points, 5 assists, and 9 rebounds in 40 minutes. Marcus Smart, 24 points, 5 assists, 7 rebounds in 39 minutes. I believe they're the first trio in NBA Finals history since like 82, 84, I forget when that statistic was, to put up at least 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. Since the Lakers with Magic Johnson, I forget the other 2 guys on that team. But first time in over 30 years, damn near 40 years now, to put up a stat line like that. So very historic company, very well deserved for those 3. A couple other notables: Al Horford, 11 points, 6 assists, 8 rebounds. Grant Williams, 10 points, 5 rebounds. And that's really it for the big names. Rob Williams, 8 points, 10 rebounds. He had 4 blocks, I believe, in that game. Warriors, Klay Thompson, 25, 3-3. Curry, 31, 2-4. Jordan Poole, 10, 3-3. So there's a big discrepancy between the Celtics and the Warriors. Oh, and Andrew Wiggins, 18.7 rebounds, 2 assists in 40 minutes. But there's still a big discrepancy between the Celtics and the Warriors, as the Celtics are getting more from more players, whereas the Warriors are getting less from more players. Like, yes, Klay Thompson is dropping 31 points. 37 points in Game 2 or whatever it is. Klay Thompson finally erupted again in Game 3, 25 points. Wiggins, 18 points. That's nice. Was it noticeable, though? Did you really notice that Andrew Wiggins at 18 points? Could I have told you he had 10 points and you would have believed me? Probably. Would you have, if I said that he had 20 points, would you believe me? Probably not. Nothing against Andrew Wiggins here. I mean, he's a great player. He's a perfect player for what the Warriors need. Being a 3 guy and not like a 1 or a 2 in Minnesota like he was. So, I mean, 18 points from Wiggins, again, not noticeable. Jordan Poole, his 10 points were more noticeable just because the way he plays, how, I don't want to say emphatic he is, but he's so dramatic. And he's, I don't want to say dirty because he's not dirty, but he's hard-nosed, yes, but you kind of notice his presence a little bit more. He's a little bit more wild, careless, again, dramatic. Celtics, 26 points from Tatum, 27 from Brown, 24 from Smart. Al Horford's 11, Grant Williams 10. Like, those were some noticeable points in my opinion. Those 11 points from Horford, 10 points from Grant Williams. Obviously the 24 from Marcus Smart. All noticeable stat lines and all noticeable plays that they made, all noticeable defensive plays, obviously, whether it was assisting, rebounding, playing defense like I mentioned, or simply just hitting a corner three to ignite a run, start a run, stop a run from the Warriors, whatever it may have been. I feel like their plays and their points were way more noticeable than whatever the Warriors were giving you. Now, does that mean the Warriors are in a little bit of a desperation mode because you're getting everything from Curry? Thompson is kind of turning it around, and you're not getting anything from your other reserves, your depth, your role players, or your other starters for that instance. Besides, again, a little bit from Wiggins as well. But I think the bigger storyline, rather than the Warriors scoring or lack of scoring, is what's going on in the court between Draymond Green, Jaylen Brown, Grant Williams, Jordan Poole, and all of those guys, even Klay Thompson. I mean, okay, so here we go. We're almost 7 minutes in, and we're about to really dive deep into this topic here, and that's the whole F you Draymond chants that the Boston Garden is roaring, and Klay Thompson calling the city of Boston classy, sarcastically, of course. Draymond Green's wife coming out and saying something. Listen, it's basketball. It's sports. Every sports venue in the playoffs, in the NBA Finals, in the World Series, in the Stanley Cup, Super Bowl is a neutral site, so not so much for that, is going to get very intense. It's going to get very rowdy, chaotic, and there's slurs and swears all the time being said, whether they're warranted or not. I'm talking about the swears being warranted. F you Draymond, obviously, we can call that warranted, but any kind of offensive slurs is clearly not. So let me just clear the air on that. But it's a fact. Wherever you go, there's slurs and there's swear words that just get announced from the nosebleeds that just never get heard. But it's the ones that do get heard, and coming from players or fans. From fans to players. 1 row behind the bench, 2 rows behind the bench, a section away where they can still hear it, where there's swear words and slur words just being shouted out. Again, whether it's warranted or not, for the swears being warranted and for the slurs, obviously and always will be unwarranted. It's sports, though. So when I talk about F you Draymond, it's sports. Deal with it. You sign a contract to play basketball. You don't sign a contract to limit what the fans say. Obviously, in terms of slurring, there obviously needs to be restrictions, not just limitations, restrictions on what slurs can be said. In terms of swear words, like, come on. You're really going to get all boo-hoo upset over some swear words? You're an adult, dude. Most of the fans in there are adults. Yes, there may be some kids, and Klay Thompson, called out, in front of kids too, stay classy, Boston. Listen. Boston is not like any other sports market. We all know that, whether we're Boston fans or not. We know that. What if you were playing like the Knicks or something, and the Knicks were in the finals, or even the Nets also being in New York, and you get F you Draymond chants from the Knicks or the Nets fan base? Let's just call it New York fan base. Are you still going to pout, shout, and cry? Ooh, stay classy, New York. It's New York. L.A., New York, Chicago, Boston, Miami, all have intense fan bases, dedicated fan bases. And home court is a real thing in the NBA. Now, the Celtics have somewhat defied that logic by winning 8 games on the road, in their playoff run to the finals here so far. Whereas, at the beginning of the playoffs, I said, usually home court, kind of wins. That's not the case this playoff run, at least not for the Celtics. Could be for other teams, I don't know. But come on, are we really going to call out Boston? If New York was doing it, if LA was doing it, Miami and Chicago, if they were all doing it, are we going to be like, stay classy, Miami? Stay classy, Chicago? Come on. It's basketball. It's the NBA Finals. You're going to hear that, no matter where you go in sports. But the thing that separates Boston from the other cities that I've previously mentioned is the fact that the Boston Celtics have a rich history of winning. They have a strong, passionate fan base, possibly unrivaled compared to other fan bases. The area of New England, Boston, I've talked about this time and time again with the Bruins and the Patriots and, of course, the Red Sox too, is we expect to win. We expect championships, and anything else is a failure. Anything else is a colossal failure. And when you're in the Eastern Conference Finals and you lose, cool, it's nice to get there, especially with a young core. We'll be back next year, sure. It's hard. And the fact that the Celtics, I guess during the game at the time, were 3 games away. Now they're obviously 2, and I think that crowd tonight is going to be even way worse with all the interviews and the press conferences that have come out between Game 3 and tonight, Game 4. But the city of Boston and the fans goes back all the way into the 50s, and with Bill Russell, with Cousy, Havlicek, just winning. Casey Jones, Sam Jones, just winning. Are we really going to say, stay classy, Boston? Everywhere you go, they're saying, F you, Draymond. Draymond is notorious for being a dirty player, for being very scrappy, for being hard-nosed, being way too aggressive and obnoxious. Could you say the same things about Marcus Smart? Yes. I'm not trying to say Smart is not. I'm just going to say it how I see it. And it just, come on, dude. Like in the 80s, people were clotheslining each other, pushing each other, punching each other, shoving each other. Where was the class then? There was no class. It was, I'm better than you, and I'm going to show you I'm better than you, and I'm going to win and beat your ass. That's just how the game was in the 80s. Obviously, there's some things you can and can't do nowadays. The fines are a lot bigger, like Draymond Green said. You get fined $1 million for doing something, and that's very true. That's very true. There are limitations to what you can and can't do. And I strongly believe that the fans chanting F you, Draymond, isn't a thing that the Celtics fans shouldn't do. You go to any game in the NBA, you go to any game in the NHL, any game in Major League Baseball, and any game in the NFL, and you could probably find, F you Rodgers, for Aaron Rodgers, or F you Jeter, A-Rod when they were playing, F you Montreal when the Bruins and the Canadians were, intense, severe rivals over the past decade plus. Obviously, that rivalry dating back way more than just one decade, but just in recent memory, right? The social media era of things. Where was the crybabies then? Where was the class then? It's just... So, if we go back to, when we go back to Golden State and San Francisco for Game 5, regardless if the Celtics are up 3-1 or if the Warriors have tied the series 2-2, and we hear one FU chant to Marcus Smart, Jason Tatum, whoever it may be, or FU Celtics, FU Boston, and we go back to Golden State and we hear that, how hypocritical will you be against your own fan base? Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. How hypocritical are we going to be when the Golden State Warriors fan base in Chase Arena or Chase Center, whatever the hell it's called, starts dropping F-bombs and racial slurs or whatever it may be to the Celtics players, Klay Thompson better, Draymond Green better have the same energy about staying classy Boston towards their own fan base when it's time to go back to Game 5 and we hear that chanting and roaring from the crowds in San Francisco. Because if not Klay Thompson and if not Draymond Green, you guys are hypocrites and you guys clearly were just butthurt about it and you don't really care for it, about the FU Draymond chants. And if you can't handle it, you can't handle it. Like, I'm not trying to discredit Klay Thompson's career. I'm not trying to discredit Draymond Green's career. I'm not trying to do that at all, and I'm not trying to discredit them as actual players. They're both very, very, very good players in their own rights. Completely different players doing different things at an elite, exceptional level. There's no discreditation from me from that perspective. But if you're going to whine and complain about the Boston fans in the Garden, in the NBA Finals, and you get that same energy, that same vibe from your own Warriors fan base, F you Marcus Smart, F you Jaylen Brown, F you Jason Tatum, F you Grant Williams, whoever. Your Game 5 press conference, win or lose, better be, come on guys, Warrior fans, we're better than that. We're a classy organization. We're a classy fan base. Let's stay classy. Come on, there's no need for that in this game. There's kids in the crowd. Come on. Because if not, you're going to get a lot of hate and a lot of smack. A ton of it. Absolutely a ton of it. And it's going to be deserved. And speaking of deserved, tonight at the Garden, whenever Klay Thompson touches the ball, whenever Draymond Green touches the ball, you're just going to get an abundance of boos, abundance of roars, and probably abundance of F-U Klay, F-U Draymond, whatever it is. Because at least with Kyrie Irving, right, in Game 1, maybe Game 2, I forget, whatever. The first series, right, Kyrie Irving was getting F-U Kyrie, F-U Kyrie, and he was flipping the fans off. He was flipping the fans off back. But you know what he proceeded to do? This was Game 1, by the way. I just figured it out. But you know what Kyrie proceeded to do? He dropped 40 points. He was, engaging with the fans and fueling the fire, and fueled the fire for Game 2 as well, here in Game 1 of that series. But he flipped you off and said, take 40 down your neck. Albeit the Brooklyn Nets lost on a buzzer-beating Jason Tatum layup, of all things, on an inbound pass. But that's how close they were to winning that Game 1 and shoving the F-U Kyrie chants down the Celtics' own very throat. Is that Kyrie flipped them off back and dropped 40 points. You want to know Draymond Green's stat line? In 35 minutes? 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 points. And those 2 points coming off an easy dunk. Like, Kyrie and Draymond Green are completely different worldly players. But at least Kyrie Irving took it on the chin and took it personally and didn't cry. He's cried about the whole racial thing. And, that's a completely different topic. I'm not talking, anything racial here. But for the most part, he took it off the chin. He said, okay, this is how we're going to play. Here's some birds back. And he dropped 40. Again, albeit the Nets lost, but at least he tried his damn best. Right? At least he tried his damn best to put that team in a position to win. And didn't cry about it. Whereas Klay Thompson, arguably the 3rd best shooter of all time, at least a top 5 shooter of all time, right? Dropped 25 points in Game 3, again, albeit a loss, but he still played fairly well. Oh, there's kids in the crowd. You're screaming, nephew Draymond. Oh, stay classy, Boston. Very classy. Come on, dude. Come on. Again, keep that same energy when it comes back to go to Golden State for Game 5. And there's FU chants in the crowd for any Celtics player. Just keep that same energy. And ridicule your own fan base for not being classy, for being disrespectful, arrogant, swearing with kids in the crowd. Just my humble opinion about it. Just play ball. Let your actions speak louder than words. Let the fans look like fools, right? Because if they're screaming F you Draymond and F you Klay or whatever, and you go out and give them 30 and 40-point games and win, you're going to shut the fans right up real fast. You're going to take the life right out of the building sooner than it got into the building. Let's just say, right? Let's just say Game 3 was a win for the Golden State Warriors, and they won. Close game, right? Draymond doesn't foul out. Klay drops 30. Draymond Green drops 20 himself, let's just call it. And they win. The fans in Game 3 would have been taken right out, especially when they're saying F you Draymond, and he pulls up and splashes a 3. And he throws down an emphatic dunk. All those F you Draymond chants are going to go away. All of the F you Klay Thompson chants that you're going to get tonight and F you Draymond Green chants you're going to get tonight will go away with good high scoring, big plays, big leads from the Golden State Warriors. And you're going to take the fans right out of it. You will. And the Celtics fan base against the Brooklyn Nets for Kyrie in Games 1, when Kyrie was flipping them back off and dropping 40 points himself, vacuumed right out of the arena. Again, the Celtics ended up winning, so they had a lot of momentum and energy going into Game 2 that carried them, and Kyrie sucked because we were getting inside his head. But at least he dropped 40 points and put his team in a position to win 3 seconds away from an inbound pass on a buzzer-beating layup of all things. It's just different mentalities, different mindsets about, the game of basketball or just what fans can and can't do or whatever. Humble opinion of mine, of course. But I don't want to just sit here just harping on it, I should say, for the whole episode. We're already 23 minutes in or so, whatever we are, 24 minutes in. I do want a quick water break, though. And I would strongly recommend you taking a sip of your water as well. The weather's getting warm. It's getting hot. You need to stay hydrated. A couple sips of water will really help. All right. So this is something I was listening to on the radio last night and even coming into the shop today. Is who will win? Okay. Who should win NBA Finals MVP between Tatum and Brown? Now, there's a very strong argument for Jaylen Brown through 3 games. Obviously, it's only 3 games. There's still a lot to be determined between the Celtics and the Warriors, of course. But let's just hypothetically say Celtics won a best-of-3 series. They won the series 2-1. Okay, let's just ha for a second. And look at what Jaylen Brown's given you so far and what Jason Tatum has given you so far. Who would win NBA Finals MVP? And if the Celtics do win in a best-of-7 series, let's just say the play of both of them kind of carry on to Games 4, Games 5, and however many games may be after that, if necessary. Who would walk away with the NBA Finals MVP? And I think it's a very strong case for both Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. And I think it's a very interesting argument, or a discussion at least, to be had, because they both well deserve it. Tatum is obviously the face of the Celtics right now. He is their superstar right now. He is their star player. And with the game on the line, you want the ball in his hands, obviously. You can't discredit what Jaylen Brown is giving you as a number 2 or a 1B. Getting double figures in the first quarter in back-to-back games, dropping 20-plus points in back-to-back games, and being a focal point on the defensive end of things, in the rebounding game, even. And I mean, Jaylen Brown had 5 assists last night. Tatum had 9. Game 1, he had 13. I mean, I think right now the edge. I mean, it's so tough because Jaylen Brown has been a spark plug for you in the beginning of the first quarter, or the beginning of the game through the first quarter. He really stepped it up in Game 1 when Tatum wasn't shooting the ball anywhere as good as he can, and we know him to. And Jaylen Brown was carrying the scoring for us. So, I mean, Jaylen Brown could win MVP, Finals MVP, and I don't think anyone would bat an eye at it. But again, superstar, Jason Tatum, face of the franchise, I think kind of gets naturally defaulted to whoever that MVP, all-star, superstar player is for that team. For the Warriors, you got Curry, you got Durant, you got Klay Thompson. But it was kind of defaulted to Kevin Durant because he was slightly better than Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. LeBron James was clearly the best player on his team all those years, and he won the NBA Finals MVP. Kawhi Leonard with Toronto. Let's see, who else do you have recently? Why can't I think recently? I know there really hasn't been many options. It's been the Warriors, it's been the Cavs, obviously the Heat for a bit. Wow, why can't I think of a team not the Warriors or anything like that? Not the Lakers. Do I really have to go all the way back to the Spurs? Do I really have to go all the way that far back? Oh, the Suns, but they lost last year. Okay, yeah, so the Spurs in like the early 2010s, when they won and they lost against the Heat. Wow, that's really far back. So obviously there's still a lot of series left to be played here, but just keep that in the back of your mind that if the Celtics win the NBA Finals and Jaylen Brown wins the Finals MVP, his card prices here in the sports card hobby, which again some of my listeners kind of cross over between sports card enthusiasts and listeners of Murph's Boston Sports Talk, they kind of cross over a little bit. His cards will go through the roof. He's not a Jason Tatum, we know that. But he's a 1B. He's a very good 2. And I think his cards will go up because he'll be labeled NBA Finals MVP. Plus helping the Celtics, one of the most historic franchises of all time, carried to an NBA Finals, the Banner 18. Now, yes, Andre Iguodala won it in 2015. But again, it's Andre Iguodala. He wasn't dropping 30. He wasn't going on hot stretches for the Warriors to help them, stay in the game or push them ahead. He wasn't doing any of that stuff. He basically won that for a little bit of scoring and his defense on LeBron. We know that. We absolutely know that. But now let's just say Jason Tatum wins NBA Finals MVP. What is that going to do for his sports card market? It's going to go through the roof. It's going to double. It's going to triple. Quadruple. I mean, excuse me. Being labeled a champion alone will help you significantly. Being labeled a champion and a Finals MVP puts you in elite company, puts you in the upper echelon of NBA lore. Cedric Maxwell came out and said something to Draymond Green, I think, who was trying to clap at Cedric Maxwell. And he said, there's only been 32 NBA Finals MVPs. And damn it, I'm one of them. And then he went on to say other things as well. I forget the exact quote. There's only been 32 NBA Finals MVPs over however long the NBA Finals has been a thing. Again, several players have won the award multiple times. Shaq, Jordan, obviously, Bill Russell, Kobe, Durant recently. Did I say LeBron? I think I said LeBron. So there have been some duplicate winners. I don't think that's a bad thing. Bird, Magic. But again, there's only been 32 of them. And Cedric Maxwell is one of them. Again, that is elite company. And among the other names that I've said, you throw in Jason Tatum with that elite company as a champion in Boston, Banner 18. Your value is going to go through the roof. Your value will go through the roof. And I would suspect something similar for Jaylen Brown as well. Maybe not as dramatic or catastrophic, in a good way, catastrophic, for Jaylen Brown. But again, it's still something. It's still something. And I think at the current moment, they're both well deserving. Obviously, only one of them can win. I don't know who will win, but only one. And it'll be damn near interesting to see who comes out on top. But there is still so much game to be played. We still have game 4. We still have game 5 guaranteed. Could there be a game 6? Who knows? Could there be a game 7? Who knows? And this series is not far from over. I know a lot of Celtics fans, specifically the ones who've been coming around to the shop, have been saying Celtics in 5. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah, we look damn good. And we were able to withstand 30 points from Curry and another dynastic third quarter run. But again, there's been some flaws in the Celtics team. They were able to play great defense. They were able to turn things around and go on a run of their own. It is possible for the Celtics to win in 5 games. I'm not going to say it's not possible. It is. But let's start with some things that I'm looking forward to tonight's game. 3 things I'm looking forward to in tonight's game. Number 1, no order, of course. Limit other players from getting hot and or scoring on the Warriors. So we know Steph Curry is going to drop 20, 25, 30, 35 points. We can expect Klay Thompson to give something similar, right? 20, 25, 30, 35 points. We know that. So let them get theirs. Obviously play defense, of course, but let them get theirs. And don't let Draymond Green shoot or score. Don't let Jordan Poole shoot or score, or anybody else. Because their team's not as deep. Their rotation's not as dense as the Celtics is. So if you can limit everybody else except Steph and or Klay, or actually probably, yeah, and or Klay, you'll be in a much better, you'll be giving up less than 100 points every night. Let's just say combined Thompson and Curry can go for 70 points. That's a lot. That's 35 per, 40 or 30, whatever it may be. But you can get 80, 90 points from Tatum, Horford, Brown, Smart, White even, who had an off night, Brent Williams, who has shown that he can drop, 10, 15, 20 points. I like my percentages because I think the rest of the Celtics, compared to the rest of the Warriors, could win. I do. So if you're going to let Curry score, if you're going to let Thompson score, don't let anyone else score. Cease, limit, and restrict other players from scoring, from shooting, getting hot, all of that. And I think that's what the Celtics did very well in game 3. Yeah, Wiggins got 18, but again, 25 from Thompson, 31 from Curry. That's it. Again, besides Wiggins with 18, but that was it. Number two, turnovers. Gotta stop turning the ball over again and again and again. This is something that I preach on, is ball control, ball handling. Just stop turning the ball over. Against the Miami Heat, a relatively good defensive team, the turnovers there made a little bit more sense than getting double-digit turnovers here against the Warriors. They're not the Heat. Damn, they're not even the Bucks when it comes to defense. Don't let them clamp you. Don't let them force you into pressure situations and stressful situations by turning the ball over. Or ending it by turning the ball over. Don't do that. Take care of the ball. Limit their extra possessions, which will limit their team points and will help you get more points because you'll have more possessions ending with a shot. Number three. Let's see. What could number 3 be, guys? If you have any keys to the game that you guys are looking at ahead of game 4 or going even into game 5 on Monday, let me know down in the comment section. Reach out to me via social media at Murph's Cardtown and let me know. I'd love to listen and hear and read what you have to say, and I'd love to respond. But number three. Oh, you know what? This is something I'm always complaining about when I'm watching the game, is hit your free throws. Something very small and simple, but so massive. I know I was talking to a buddy of mine, and at the time the Celtics were 15 to 22 from the free throw line. I don't know what the Celtics finished out with. Let's see, can I get the stats for that? They finished 17 for 24. That's 70.8%. Now, again, the Celtics did win by 16 points. Let's see if I can get a different game, because there is a point to be made here. Let's see now. They got blown out. A game 6 against the Heat, probably a good one. No, but they made 90%. I'm gonna find a game. Hold on. It was game 6 against the Bucks. Oh, they won. Hold on, I'm gonna find a game. There was a game. Let's see. They won. Game 3. Okay, here we go. Now, this is game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals with the Miami Heat, where the Heat won 109-103. The Celtics went 23 of 30 from the line. At 76.7%, they lost by 6. They missed 7 free throws. Now, the Heat finished 12 of 14. I'm going to assume at least 2 of those, or maybe even 4 of those, were from fouling, because the Celtics need the ball back to shoot a 3 to get 3 points on the board. So you take away 2 points from the Miami Heat, now it's 107. Let's just go 2 points. That's 107. Celtics say they make 6 of those free throws that they missed, 6 of 7 of those that they missed. That puts them at 29 of 30. Let's just say even 28 of 30. So an additional 5 points. 103 plus 5 is 108. 109 minus the 2 points, and I'm assuming because of the Celtics just had a foul, the Miami Heat. 109 minus 2 is 107. They win game 3. And again, down the stretch in game 6 against the Miami Heat, I know the Celtics finished 90.3% from the line. They missed 2 crucial free throws at the end there. Jaylen Brown did. And those free throws, a lot of people saying if he made those, they would have won that game, and I strongly believe that. So just make your free throws, guys. That's all. They're free shots. That's it. So, number 1, limit all scoring from players not named Steph Curry or Klay Thompson. Number 2, what was number 2? Turnovers. Don't turn the ball over. Don't give the Warriors extra possessions. And number 3, hit your free throws. Please, they're free. Please, please, please hit them. You practice them every day in practice, before games, during warm-ups, whatever it may be. Please hit them. But again, big game tonight between the Celtics and the Warriors. Game 4 of the NBA Finals is tonight at the TD Garden in Boston, Massachusetts, where the Golden State Warriors are visiting the Boston Celtics in their best-of-7 NBA Finals series. Here, tip-off 9 p.m. Eastern time. Again, stupid, but again, it makes sense to me, being the Warriors are a West Coast team. But that is going to wrap it up. I can't wait to sit. I could be sitting here next week. Actually, I don't even know when Game 7 is, or would be. Okay, so Game 7 would be Sunday, June 19th. That's Father's Day. Game 4 is tonight, obviously. Game 5 is Monday. And Game 6 is on Thursday. By the time next episode number 147 rolls around, I will either be sitting here talking to you as a champion or as someone who just watched and endured a colossal mistake. Because the Celtics are up 2-1. All they have to do is not lose the next 3 or 4 games. There's a maximum of 4 games left. All they have to do is not lose them, 3 or 4 of them. They stole home court advantage by winning Game 1 on the road, so the Celtics theoretically do not have to win on the road for the rest of the series if they don't. If they don't want to. Got to win Game 4. So right now, all I'm focused on Game 4. That's my focus right now is Game 4. I take it 1 game at a time, as you guys should as well. But again, the way the layout and the schedule is, I could be talking to you next episode, number 147, as either a champion or someone who just endured a colossal collapse. Or then again, we could have Game 7 on Sunday, Father's Day, and we could be talking about that, breaking down the other 3 games that have come and gone. But who knows? We'll have to see what happens first, and it's all going to start with Game 4 tonight, 9 p.m. between the Warriors and the Celtics at the TD Garden. That's going to wrap it up for today's episode. I really appreciate you guys clicking on this video. If you're listening to this on YouTube, please make sure you like the video, comment any questions, thoughts, comments, concerns, anything like that down in the comment section below. And also, please, please, please consider hitting that giant red subscribe button, as I would greatly appreciate the love and support. Just past 300 subscribers, and I'm on my way to 500. I can't wait to hit that milestone. That will be something very, very special. If you're listening to this episode on audio-only platforms such as Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, Stitcher, wherever you can find your podcast, you can find Murph's Boston Sports Talk. Thank you so much for downloading, listening, and enjoying, as I greatly appreciate all the love and support on those platforms as well. But again, that is going to wrap it up for today's episode. It is a big week ahead of us for the Boston Celtics, one way or the other, and I can't wait to be a part of it. But again, that's going to wrap it up today's episode. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I can't wait for the next episode. But between now and then, you guys know that I love you, and I will always, always see you.